Hello, everyone. I'm Tennille Irby, mother of 4, 3 boys, 1 girl, and today I'll be speaking in my Shirley Strawberry voice because we're doing listener letters.
I'm Thea. I will not be doing that today or any other day, but I am a mother of 3 girls.
Listen, I'm just here for the tackles. I am Nekisha Killings, mother of 3 girls. I really, really don't want to hear Shirley the whole episode.
Right. Really?
And y'all should see the face that comes with Shirley.
And why is that, pray tell?
It's kind of like when Leon was the Temptations. When he would sing those high notes, that's the face I see. In the Temptations movie. It's like he's squinting, he's looking up in the air, like she looks like she's hitting a good note. Is what
you feel like it's more Iyanla than Shirley Strawberry? Because Iyanla on Iyanla Fix My Life is not the voice she uses.
Gotta snipe. Gotta snipe. That's the word. That's what she's gotta snipe.
You know, Iyanla has a few different personalities, a few different,
And then she'll smile and she goes,
ha ha ha. She pulls out the bag. Yeah, you're doing the real, like, the one when Oprah used to interview
Okay,
her.
I'm doing Iyanla when she first walks in the door and meets you, and she's like, "Hi, my sister."
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Before she calls you a gotta
snipe.
snipe.
Looking like. Way before.
Before the
It's
coming.
Like that. Is that who she called that?
She's Neffy. The Neffy episode.
Neffy, girl.
She said,
Neffy.
But Neffy is a low down, gotta snipe straight from the hood.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what she said. And then she said, but I love you. And I say it with love. And I say it from a place of love. And Neffy was like, she just called me out my name. She just called me out my name. It was an amazing episode. There's 3 parts.
Okay, so today I'm a cross between Shirley Strawberry and Iyanla Vanzant, both of which the Black community and especially Black Twitter find problematic at times.
Yes. Yet you choose to channel them. This is going to be fun, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta snipe.
So Them Black Mamas is a podcast for us and by us. It's a show about the life and times of 3 Black women raising Black children. And I want to say specifically that we are 3 Black creative women raising Black children. I think that that's something that really sets us apart. And I think the other thing that sets our podcast apart is that our podcast is about the mamas. I think that a lot of parenting podcasts are about the children, but I think our podcast is really about us and our personal experience as mothers, as opposed to being about our children. Do you guys think that? I was thinking about like what's so specific about our podcast.
Well, yeah, because we prove that mothers, particularly Black mothers, are multifaceted, which is not what people. Yeah. And that we don't just always want to talk about the kids.
Yeah.
We had a life before the kids. We're going to have a life after the kids. And we have a life during the kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody recently and they were like, well, blah, blah, blah happened. And then I became a mom.
Oh,
and it was just like everything stopped when they became a mom, which, Crystal, you have some really good pieces you've written on that. We need to share again and again.
Oh, I'll do that.
But
let me write that down.
This show, I think, reminds people that we are whole beings in addition to being somebody's mama. Mm-hmm. But being a Black mama is in itself a very unique experience that only we can explain for ourselves.
In thinking about the listener letters, we have quite a few listeners that are not parents that find our show.
We do. I have a lot of my college students love the show.
All right, so follow us on Facebook at Dim Black Mamas.
Or hit us up on Twitter at Dim Black Mamas.
Ooh, is that
Shirley.
me? Hold on.
Shirley. That's Shirley.
Shirley and on Instagram.
Shirley slipping.
And on Instagram at Dim Black Mamas, or you can email us, which some people have been doing. So excited. You can email us at dimblackmamas, DEM blackmamas @gmail.com and talk to us about the show, how you felt about the show, suggestions for topics, or you can just show us some love.
We're going back. We've been flipping the script a little bit on our last episode. So this time we're going back to our what's good, and then we'll go into our mac and cheese segment, which is going to be our listener letters, which we're super excited about. This could really show you the depths of who we are, these listener letters. I want you to understand. Like, I think we need to do a disclaimer that, like, we are not responsible. Literally, you wrote us, and we appreciate that. But we are not responsible if you just run and take this information and, like, blow up your life. I don't want you to do that. I want you to consider it one path of many. Okay, I'll just say that because there's 3 paths on here, and I don't even know where these 3 paths will lead. Yeah. Okay, so the listener letters we're really excited about, and then of course we go into our collection plate causes. So we're really excited. We have some good collection plate causes.
So back to what Nekisha was saying about whether our listeners who aren't parents see us as mother figures, and so. Someone hit us up on Twitter and just said how much she loved the show. And I was like so excited because she's from the UK, like another country. And I was like, we were
international.
We international. So
that's when you start saying that. Because, poets do that. Like, they'll go to, like, Canada and be like, I'm an international poet.
Oh, yeah. I always say that.
It's like right up the street.
Yeah. Yeah,
like right up the street, though.
No. I went to South Africa, and I'm like, Crystal has traveled
South Africa,
internationally.
I would say it's international, but Canada?
It's a different country. You do need Mexico? A passport to go to Canada?
Maybe because we're in California.
I will say, Californians, when I lived in LA, I always wanted to go to Mexico, and my friends was like, what? Why? I mean, you want to go to Tijuana for like 2 hours? And I'm like, no, I want to go to Mexico. And they're like, yeah, like, this is really Mexico. Like, it really was.
Right. Like, you can see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Right,
they don't feel that. But, okay, so she hit us up and she said how much she loved the show. And I was like, great. Thank you so much. And she said she was going to send us her EP because she's a singer. And we can use the music however we wanted to, because we had to on some of our shows that we wanted music for the show. And so she sent us an email and she said, hi all, once again, thank you for such an amazing show. I'm really enjoying your podcast series and can't wait to get through them all. I lost my mom almost 3 years ago, and I've missed listening to funny, educated Black women speak. You all have filled a little of that space for me. My name is Monique, and I'm a 25-year-old jazz soul singer-songwriter from the UK. I wanted to send you all a copy of my EP just to say thank you. And so we're definitely going to be using her music on the show because it's great music. And her name is Monique Danielle.
Yay.
And so please hit her up. Her social media information will be in our show notes. So make sure that you follow her. Her Twitter is official Monique. Official Monique. Monique is spelled Monique. Her Instagram is official Monique Danielle. Official Monique Danielle. And again, Monique is Monique, and Danielle is Danielle. So check her out. Follow her on social media. We'll definitely be using her music for the show. And I just want to say, I never thought of us. I just never imagined that would be what someone got from the show. You know, that we were feeling, filling a void in their life in terms of their mother not being here or not having a relationship with their mother. So that just really touched me. And she listened to the show. So she listened to all the episodes at once, and she hit us up again and said she's in withdrawal because, she's waiting on the next episode.
No, we gotta get another episode
out. Yeah. You gotta feed the people. I was really touched by that. And you say this all the time, Crystal, on our social media, that people, we recognize people have a choice to listen or not. And I'm just humbled that she, took the opportunity to listen to all the episodes and to reach out and tell us how much we're having an impact on her. And that just made my day, man. Thank you, Monique. Shout out to you.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you. So I think that people do see us as mother figures or like their mothers or people that they can look to in that way, which is a good thing because the podcast genre, sometimes when I'm looking through it and listening to podcasts, it seems like a millennial thing.
It does.
So, you know, I mean, that's where, you know, we fit into it. So that was a good thing.
That's super exciting.
All right. So this is the point in our show where we get to talk about what is good, what is happening in our lives that is keeping us sane, what is happening that is filling our hearts with joy, bringing a little bit of light and love to our worlds. Crystal, what's
So I have a lot of good things going on with me that I'm really excited about. First of all, my TEDx video is available. Check me out on YouTube.
Yes. And it's really good. Really good.
It's called, amazing. And we're going to post it again on our social media. It's called Bible Belt Black, a biomythography. Bible Belt Black is because it's about Black people in the Bible Belt in the South. Black mothers specifically. So just go to YouTube and Google Crystal Irby, CrystalIrby, and the video will come up. And we'll also have it on our social media platforms. And there'll be a link to it in the show notes. But the thing that I'm most excited about, I got a survey that I had to fill out for a federal grand jury. So you fill out this survey, and it means that you may get chosen to be on the federal grand jury or just a grand jury or just a jury in federal court. I am so pumped. I can't. And I hope they choose me. It says like there's a 2-year window. So between now and 2 years, I could get a notice. I'm like so pumped. Like every day I'm checking the mail. Like, man, did I get a notice? I can't wait. I hope I get chosen.
So this is coincidence, a strange coincidence. But my dad and my nephew got them in Florida this week as well. Same card. And my dad
is it for the federal?
Yes, he has sat on a number of federal grand juries. He is like a veteran.
Are you serious?
Juror. He goes all the time to jury
meetings. I don't understand what's happening here.
Yes. I don't know why or how, but I'm like, I hope both of them get selected because we need more Black men on juries. I mean, basically. Yeah.
So for the 99.9% of y'all out there who feel like I do, who can't stand court in any way, shape, or form, I just want you to know I'm here for you. I think this is great. I'm glad that there are people out there who want to go.
You don't know if you do jury duty?
Girl.
I don't know if I would do it, but for me, it's just, some PTSD, a little bit of, I don't, courtrooms and I aren't quite ready. But I
Because of your sister?
Yes, because of my sister's trial. That was too much. But I do, and that's why my mother won't do it. I think that you would be a great juror. I think you'd be much better than her jurors who sat through the whole case and then slipped the judge and know the end saying, what is a projectile?
Right.
After the forensics evidence had been presented for days about the projectile and which direction it went in and how it entered the body, they, at the end of the case,
right,
asked the judge, what is it? And I was like, for real? You've been here all these days hearing this and you didn't know what it was? You know, they're talking
Crystal's going to be jury. The most hated juror because, no, this is what's going to happen. Because she's going to sit in there and make them retry the case in the jury room and go over every piece of evidence. She's like, can we see that? Okay, we can see that. Okay, are you able to bring us snacks while we look over this? Is that okay? Can you do that? Yeah, okay, good.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, I also have a little PTSD with court, so that's also like I could go an entire lifetime without ever being in the courtroom again.
Because Thea was when she was a social worker, she had to go to court a lot for different things. So I worked independently, and also because of the custody case that you've been through. So I totally get that.
Yeah. But I do think you'd be a great juror, hold on. And you would not let them get away with
get up and get a towel.
I have to find something
because
to dry off
she co-signed this notion.
Y'all made me spit my tea all over my computer. It's probably not even going to work anymore. I may not even
because she spit her tea out because she co-signs Thea's notion that I would be the worst or most difficult juror, and I resent that because I feel like that is what we're there for.
Oh, so you would be?
No, I don't.
That's what you're saying. You resent it because it's true. It's what just happened here, y'all. Did you see who should be in court, y'all? I should be in court. Did you see how I just cross-examined that witness? Did you see how I just did that? You see how I did that, y'all? You see how I just flipped the script?
I saw that.
She didn't resent it because it was untrue. She resisted it because that would be her job. Now hand her a croissant so we can look over this blood splatter. Hand her croissant so she could save the day.
I resent it.
Because she can't save the day.
Crystal,
she can't examine this information if her blood sugar is low. That would be amazing.
No, when we read these stories of jurors and how they came to their conclusions, like the one with the gentleman, I'm forgetting his name, the gentleman who was shot outside his car by that woman, Betty, whatever her name is, the officer who shot the dude who was just reaching into his, or going towards his car, not even reaching in like she said he was. And it was caught by the helicopter
video
cameras and such. The jury was like, yeah, we knew that she was wrong. We knew that she's unfit to be a cop, but we were hungry and tired. Like that kind of shit right there.
My God.
People's lives are in the balance.
I can't.
And you're worried about your stomach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think you would be a much, much better juror than that.
Thank you, Nekisha.
I think so too. But also, if I was a juror in the room with people like that, I'm really working on my anger issues. And that would not be a good space for me to work that out. Because
I agree.
They would all be called something other than a child of God by the time I left that jury box.
I'm very excited, and I really, really hope that I get chosen. So that's what's good with me.
I hope you get chosen too.
I don't know
Thank
if the
you,
other
Nekisha.
Jurors,
And in my...
I don't know if your fellow jurors will appreciate you.
Thank you, Nekisha. And if I decide to write a book, because you can't go in saying that you'll write a book, but if I decide to write a book, Nekisha, I will thank you in particular for your support.
I feel I should be thought because I'm just
being chosen,
saying what it is.
I don't have any response to that. Do you see me talking into the microphone? It's like I'm practicing already to be in court. I don't have a response to...
she's talking as though she is the witness on the stand. So what's going to happen is Crystal's going to play all roles. What's going to happen is they're going to go back in the jury room and she's going to reenact. Because this is where her theater background is going to kick in, and she's going to reenact. Yes. And she's going to be the DA, and she's going to be the witness. And so she's going to cross-examine herself. And she's going to be like, but did you see her eyes when that happened? Watch me closely. Watch what I'm doing here. Watch this.
Oh, to be a fly
on that wall. That would be the best.
For the record, I just want to put this on record.
Are we back to the Shirley voice?
Well, this podcast will be public, and one of the lawyers finds it and tries to get me dismissed from the jury. I just want to go on record saying I will listen to the evidence, and I will heed the judge's instructions, and I will respect the jury foreman. I just want to put that on record. And that the things that Thea Monyee are saying are her opinions and not fact. They are her opinion.
I feel
Nekisha, the things that Nekisha is saying, those are facts.
Well, I feel like if people listen to all our episodes, you might get disqualified as a juror.
I want to go on record to say that both Nekisha and Thea are stating their opinions, and they're based on their.
We're going to go into listener letters.
Okay,
we're going to go into listener letters. So this is what I want to say. I just want to make
a
suggestion that I think will make sure this all goes smoothly. For the love of God, just make her the jury foreman. For the love of God, just make her the jury foreman. It will save you so much time and energy. Because if she is not the jury foreman, the first question that she is going to examine to a T is, why didn't they pick me? Why couldn't I be the jury foreman? That will hang her up on the first 2 weeks of trial. You understand? For 2 weeks, she's going to sit there and critique the jury foreman and say, what did they have that I didn't? Why did they get chosen? It's going to be such a thing. Just make her jury foreman out the box. She could deal with the shade. Because really, no one else is going to shade her because no one else wants that job. So she's going to be fine. She's going to think they're shading her because she's going to think they want the job. But that's not actually what's going to be happening.
I think that this is accurate. I think, Thea, you're on the right track. Crystal, do you have any?
No, I don't. And let me tell you, the next time I share some good with you all,
she just flipped.
I think it is good.
I
think it's good.
She got that finger
I
up.
think it's good because I would like to do an entire podcast on Crystal's experience. on one not being the jury
because
foreman.
I'm not going to talk to you all. If I'm chosen, I'm not going to.
How she rose to become jury foreman.
If I get chosen, I'm not going to tell you all. I'm not going to tell you all if I get chosen. I'm just going to write my book. Maybe. I'm not saying I'm going in with the intention of writing a book.
No, we should do it like that 1 hour Harriet Tubman episode of Underground.
Oh
and gosh. You just get the whole hour. Nekisha and I would just be like the white abolitionists in the audience.
I can't. Nekisha.
Okay, Nekisha. I'll put my tea down. I cannot without my computer anymore. Forget it.
Okay, can we move on to someone else? I just want to say, I don't shade anybody in their what's good. I only support in the what's good episode. I get so much shade.
This is not shade. I am trying to give you the best case scenario for you and the jurors. I think if they just make you the foreman, they can get on with the trial. I'm suggesting, I am co-signing, I am Shirley Strawberry co-signing that you become the jury foreman. And as somebody who's known you for many years, I think my character testimony strongly suggests that is where you belong. That is where you belong.
Foreman or bust.
Foreman or bust. Foreman or bust.
Foreman or bust. That's your ministry, boo. That's it.
That's your ministry.
Let's move on to somebody else's website. And
if you quit
and watch and watch me not throw shade and only be supportive. Watch, people. Watch.
Thea, what's good? What's good?
That was fun. Okay. My what's good, I passed 100 pages in my second manuscript. So I'm working on my second novel. Well, this is my third manuscript, but my second one that I want to put out in the world. And getting to 100 pages is a thing.
Wait, and this isn't the
it's amazing.
This is not the one that's the sequel to what you're writing.
No, this is like potentially a whole nother series that could develop from this one. So the other one is out with publishers right now, so we're hoping to hear good news about that. Hopefully that'll be good news I can share soon. But this one, I decided to start a whole nother track. So this book is for a younger age, maybe like 12 to 16, and it's fantasy, and it's the main character. Probably most of my main characters would be Black girls, but the main character feels out of sorts, is out of place, has been for a long time, and finds out why. So it's a whole adventure associated with that. But for those of you who are writing novels or attempting to write novels in any way, when you first have the idea, things kind of just flow out of you really, really nicely, and you kind of just write. And you get around like 50 to 70 pages, and it's kind of like things start to slow down a little bit. And then it's kind of like swimming into the middle of the ocean and not knowing which direction to go in, because it could go so many different ways. You don't have the original combustible energy you had in the beginning. You can see shore on both sides, and you just don't know which way to swim. And so I frequently get to that point and like have to put down the manuscript for a minute to get my bearings. And so I did that at around 88 pages, and I picked it back up this week. And so now we're at 101, and we're clear. Like, we have a clear direction on where we're going. Wow. I can see the next 100 pages flowing out pretty easily. And it's just beautiful. I mean, like that pause is necessary, but the process of like, you don't even fully know where this book is going, right? You have an idea and you have it mapped out, but you don't know. And I think there's something about, you mentioned us being creatives. I think part of being creatives is being a mother is you have to have things so regimented and scheduled and routine for such a long period of time, right? To support your child's growth and sense of structure and internal structure. That this is a place where you can take your hands off the wheel and say, like, we got to figure out where things are going to go. And you find out, too. So even though I have, like, a blueprint of where I want to go, I'm still writing dialogue that surprises me. Like something comes up, it's like, I didn't even know this character would feel that way, right? Like, you didn't even know that would happen. So it's very exciting. I'm back in the writing process. I have my writing goals established. My goal is to finish the first draft before August 1st. And, hopefully this will be another work that I can send out into the world, but it is a big deal to hit 100 pages.
So I'm always so interested in artist process. Like, I watch like behind the scenes and stuff like that all the time, or like behind the music, because I'm always interested in an artist process and the final product, but the process of getting there. And so when you said you had to put it down and take a break, what did you do during that time while you were taking a break that you felt like helped you be able to come back to it and push through? Because I think sometimes that we are, two things happen. We're either afraid to put it down because we're like, I gotta get this done, so we force it, or we put it down and we never ever go back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I want to say too, because we're Black Mother Creatives, is that
ooh, Black Mother Creatives, I like that.
but that our process will look differently. So Black Mother Creatives, we have to create our own process, and we can't look to the right or the left at what other people are doing. Our lives are so specifically different that we have to be very open to creating a process that has never existed if we have to. I call it, you guys know, I call it writing in the margins. During my lunch breaks, I write early in the morning. I keep a notebook on me at all times to jot down notes. But also I give myself credit for the little progress, right? So like the illusion of like sitting down and writing 25 pages in a day. I mean, if that could happen, if that can happen, if there's a day where nobody's in your house and that's what happened, but most likely if there's a day nobody's in your house, you ain't going to want to sit and write 25 pages. You're going to want to sleep, right? So you would have to have like 2 or 3 days to make that happen. So I give myself credit for 2 pages. I give myself credit for 2 paragraphs. I give myself credit for any little bit I write. I just do something every day, and I don't dismiss it as nothing, because I say in the context of my life, this 2 pages is a big deal to do 2 pages in a day. So to answer your question, Crystal, what I usually do during that time is I read, but I don't read in that genre. So I'm big on, they know I'm always picking up a book on something. So my most recent books have been like The Healing Wisdom of Africa, reading about different religions, I have another one, astrology, psychology, and the 4 elements. I read outside of the genre, but things that I think will inform me to build things about my characters, right? So I'll read a self-help book on parenting or something, not even necessarily for me, but it may be for something I'm trying to develop in a character, or I'll read about a part of the world. But typically I read a lot of nonfiction in between. Things that will inform my knowledge base and strengthen my knowledge base so that I can feel more comfortable. Sometimes I'll research it online. Right now I'm working on learning a new language, because in this book I invented a language for my characters. So part of it, they speak in this other language. And so I had to sit there and figure out, like, okay, what are the rules to that language, right? So how does that language work? Phonetically, or all these different things. And so I'll research that about other languages. But mainly I read nonfiction. And I find that what'll happen is I'll kind of get like full. And it really helps me to just kind of think outside the box. I remember, I think it was Octavia Butler, she used to have like medical encyclopedias and like stuff like that. Like it has nothing to do with the fiction world, but everything to do with creating worlds. And my genre is I tend to write, I don't write like what I would consider like drama. I write stuff that you have to invent stuff to.
A little more fantasy.
Yeah. So that really helps. It may be different for somebody else who's writing stuff that's rooted in everyday life.
Yeah.
Maybe they go to those spaces. Maybe they visit those places. Maybe they do research on it. When people say they have writer's block, I really feel like that's not what they have. They're just kind of out of gas. So they should fill their tank. And I think they should fill their tank with other forms of information, like reading or researching or watching documentaries to fill up the tank, right? Because you run out of ideas, you run out of gas, you run out of, So, and you sometimes just need to be re-inspired.
I think it's a good idea.
I think that's excellent advice for any creative, but for especially Black mothers who have to juggle and figure out where handling their creative outlet is going to fit into their lives. So I'm really glad that you shared that with us. I have been horrible about keeping up with writing something every day and continuing to stay on task, and definitely not hitting any of these goals. These writing
But you've been hitting some goals. You've been hitting
track.
some stuff, Nekisha, so you got to give yourself credit for that. Like, you may not have done the thing that you set out to do, but you've done other things. So, like, another thing, Crystal, I would do blog posts. Like, I would do other forms of writing, smaller, shorter, so I could feel successful. I would submit to For Harriet or Black Girl in Ohm and get a piece up there. And so there would be other work that I would do in between that was briefer where I could still feel successful and still feel like I'm writing.
Yes.
So I think that was important too.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. Yeah. Any more of what's good for Thea?
Your turn. I'm passing it to you,
That's
boo.
it. All right. I have just a couple that are a little bit lighter, I guess. The first is we are moved.
They are.
Yes.
I've seen it.
Yes.
I've seen it.
I got boxes all around, but I am still in Angelino. Is that the term?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're Los Angelino, yes.
I'm a Los Angelino. I live in Los Angeles, and this is not our first time living in Los Angeles, I should say. My husband was stationed here at the beginning of our marriage, and I really did not enjoy Los Angeles that time. And it just felt like a really lonely space. I met you. I knew Crystal, but you lived far, and I was trying to navigate, figuring out how to be married, and we had some of my husband's relatives. We had some children in our home at the time, so it was just a really challenging space to begin. Our first time in LA, and I never really found my footing here. But this time I'm so excited to really feel like I'm coming into a ready-made community. I got Thea, who's already been here and blessed the house and all the things, and she's gonna show me around because it's her neck of the woods. And
I love that area. I love that area. That was the last place I lived. Well, okay, let me just keep it real. So I didn't live where you live, but I lived near where you live. And I think that and Marina Del Rey were probably my favorite places to live in LA. I lived in LA for 8 years and moved 7 times. That's crazy, right?
Wow.
But the area that you're living in now is like one of my, I feel like that is the soul of Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not what
that
you get
people
on
don't
TV.
know about.
Yeah, people don't know about. Yeah.
They think Hollywood.
I do. I love the energy here. I love the energy. It was a deliberate move around Black folk. After having been our last place, being the couple little chocolate chips in the cookie, I was like, enough of that. Put me in the middle of where Black folk are. This is the experience I want to have for me and my children for the next several years. So.
It's a beautiful space too. It's a beautiful space.
It feels so damn good to be here. It is. And just the small little, things that we don't even notice that are everyday to living around Black folk. The nod.
Yeah, the nod. You get the nod.
What?
And the grocery stores play the good music. The grocery stores play good music, girl.
They do.
You'll be up in there with some Mary J. Blige, Real Love, bouncing your shoulders, getting your bread. And we got the best fried chicken wings. They try to duplicate it at the spaces, but it ain't the same.
All of the above. So the experience is it's like coming home. And I never knew I could get this in LA, this far away from home, from the East Coast. But I'm really, really loving it. People ask me every day, how are you liking the new city? Love it.
And we haven't even done the tour yet. The tour is going to be great.
Haven't even done it. I don't care. I'm just happy here. Happy and the sunlight, the warmth on my face, just all the things that are here I'm in love with them.
Okay, so we're gonna transition into our mac and cheese segment.
Yes,
we're doing our listener letters, and going back to that disclaimer, I do not listen. Let me go record. Dem Black Mamas is not a certified counseling entity. We are giving you feedback based on our experiences. I am a licensed marriage family therapist, but this is not licensed therapy. What we're doing is, counseling advice, which is going to be fun, but do not go run and blow up your life over this. So I am, someone asked me to share a little bit about, I think in one of the letters, my MFT journey, so I'll briefly tell you about that. MFT means marriage family therapist. The L is licensed marriage family therapist. I'm in California. That's where I got licensed. We have some of the strictest guidelines on being licensed as a marriage family therapist. The ethical standards are really high. The consequences are pretty severe. So, which is why I gave that disclaimer. So I started off working at Children's Law Center, which is a law firm that advocates on behalf of foster youth, and I loved it. absolutely loved it. I worked there with my BA in human services, and I loved it. And it's a job that I probably would have stayed at forever, except I really fell in love with these families and wanted to be able to help on a different level. And so I decided to go back to school and do my marriage family therapy program, which was a great experience for me. So some people, I mean, there's a ton of different programs out there, but I'm going to specifically talk about this because I, at the time, I was a mother with young children, and this goes to the idea of Black mother creatives having to create things their own way. At that time, going to a 4-year traditional track was not an option for me. I had to work full time. I had 2 small children, and so I wanted to get this done in a real and genuine way, but I also knew I couldn't have a typical college experience in doing so. So I chose to go through University of Phoenix. I was a member of, like, I think one of the first MFT classes programs that they had, one of the first cohorts. First, if not the first, it was definitely probably the second, and I absolutely loved it. But what I loved about it was it was very realistic and practical. Sometimes in other settings, it's highly theoretical, but really when you go out there in the field, you're not quoting what theories you're using. It's really coming down to a skill set, and it's coming down to how you practice. So I had teachers who were very real, who were in the field currently, who hadn't, graduated and just began teaching it. These people were in the field. Several were licensed therapists or psychologists, and they were currently working. And that made all the difference, I think, in the world. Again, sometimes in more traditional settings, you get people who teach but don't practice. And so their ability to help you navigate the real world and real crises and real problems is somewhat limited. And so I think that's something you should look at when you look at your programs for different universities is, are these people just teaching it, or are they in practice? Because the law and the guidelines change around this stuff annually, every year. For us, Department of Mental Health is basically top dog, and so they make new rules all the time that we have to be aware of. And so having people in the field who know how to navigate that ethically, how to meet those standards, but also how to find your own style is important. I loved it, had a great experience. The family, I believe, is the expert, just like, all the people we're going to talk to today. You are the expert on your own life. You live it every day. We're getting a snapshot of it, and we're giving you feedback based on that snapshot. But by all means, we are far from the experts. And I tell every client that comes into my space that I work with an empowerment model from a humanistic perspective. Humanistic perspective says that every person deserves unconditional positive regard, and we believe people are genuinely good. And there are things that make them forget that. Creatively, though, because I have another approach, I strive to tap people back into their own creativity. And that's not just being any form of artist. They create their lives every day. Everyone's a creative in some capacity. And so the biggest thing that happens with trauma or abuse or just a lot of the things that happen in life is we forget that. We forget that we can create something different. So I do a lot of work around narrative therapy and helping them to realize that they're the authors of their life. That's really important to me. Lately, I've been also engaging alternatives like I use healing stones. I partner with someone who does Reiki. I've really been working on, for people of color, connecting them to their ancestry and like how can you include your ancestors in your daily life? How can you look at how they lived and see how you can add that to your existence? And just honestly, point blank, a lot of the anxiety and depression that people of color face is we live every day in a system that wasn't designed for us. That alone will give you a diagnosis of anxiety and depression. And so environment has a lot to do with people of color's mental health and well-being. And we're constantly in a hostile environment. And I don't say that to cause any, that's just real. And I don't want my clients to feel like, oh, it's all you. Yeah. It's something in you that's saying this system is not for me. And then to answer that question, you have to say, well, what would my ancestors have done? Because they did it for thousands of years before being colonized, right? So they did it. So what am I not listening to that they're telling me? And how is trying to fit into this system that's built on white supremacy harming my sense of self and well-being? And what they can control, I definitely put in their hands. That's the empowerment piece. That's the accountability piece. So we're really excited to talk to you all about these letters. We're going to try to get to 3 of them today. Ooh, Lord. Crystal, you're gonna start.
I wanted to say. I really appreciate you sharing your journey. I think it's really important for our listeners to hear, especially if they're mothers, about how they can fit in their goals along with motherhood. I don't know if your program was primarily online, but my master's was primarily online, and I had to fit around being a mom, and doing a whole lot of other things, and then do the clinical piece in person. But it's certainly possible if you are thinking about considering, you're supposed to go back and get another degree to reach your highest potential. Do that. There are ways to do that, and we're happy to help you by telling you the routes that we took, the universities that work for us, that's good stuff. I love it. And
I just want to say something about going online. I think that University of Phoenix created the mold for universities to put their programs online. And I think that there is an elitist classism element whenever people look at a space like University of Phoenix or someone going to school online and looking at as less than. I think that they don't take into account that everyone's journey is different. I'm not just saying this because Thea is my friend, but she is actually like a sought after therapist.
Yes.
In the movement for Black Lives. Yes. She is someone that people seek and look to.
And, sometimes I have colleagues who look down upon things like that and they don't realize what they're saying. And I'm like, everybody's journey's not the same. And honestly, that route of being a person who had life experience and who had to maintain that life experience has made me a great therapist, has given me context and empathy and understanding and creativity and innovation in how I design treatment for my clients. I do not regret that route whatsoever. Definitely, we want to encourage people to do it however you can do it. And don't feel any kind of way about it. Don't feel any kind of way about it.
That's it.
I've never had a problem getting a job.
That's it.
Never had a problem getting a job.
She's never. In fact, once she gets a job, people are like, okay, we want you to move here and give you more money and make your life better. That's not the case for all of us. I'm not talking about anyone particular on this show, but I'm just going to say Jesus has his favorites. Let's move into listener letter number 1.
That's primarily for you, Crystal.
Yes, it is. Okay.
It is.
How I made it over left me feel... Okay, I should say this is listener letter number 1. How I made it over...
Oh, Shirley.
Haters gonna hate y'all, but you got to shine anyway. Okay. Listener
I'm sure
letter...
Shirley says that every morning.
Listener letter number 1. How I made it over left me feeling right naked, and it's spelled Neked. I appreciate that.
Open, I love that.
That was my turn. Yes, ma'am.
Open and vulnerable, but hungrier for healing. It's funny how divine intention works because I have been on a path seeking healing. Thank y'all. I haven't figured out voices yet, so I'm not certain who it was saying her birth story is rooted in pain in such a way that her children know. I want to know how she feels her choosing the narrative of a painful birth story impacts her mothering. From Ryan in Indy. And so that was me. So my birth story is rooted in a lot of pain and trauma. And I've been thinking about this ever since we received this email. And I think what it has done is make me look at my children as obstacles, which is not a good thing. As things that are always in my way or things that I always have to get over. And it really didn't make motherhood enjoyable. It made motherhood task oriented, and I have to teach this and I have to instill this. And so what I began to do is just look at what motherhood has given me. And my children have been my greatest teachers. They have been my greatest teachers. And they've taught me so much about myself. And they've helped me heal and forgive in ways that I really did not think was possible. And so now when I engage my children, I try to engage them in a way of, what am I supposed to learn from them right now? What are they giving me in this moment right now? And I also don't think I allowed my children to give to me, which didn't allow me to just sit and be around my children, especially the smaller ones. Our daughter, who is 20 now, she's out of her teens. She just turned 20. She turned 20 in May. Yeah, I know.
It feels some kind of way.
Wow,
it feels some kind of way.
And and teenagers and older children, like those are my sweet spot. So I navigate them very well, and I'm able to be with them in a very different way. But the smaller ones are not my sweet spot because I felt like I had to give them so much. And when I got married, well, I moved from California to South Carolina, got married, had a baby, and began raising an adolescent all within 1 year. And so I felt like I had given so much, and then there were already these other people who needed me more. And the reality is they didn't choose to be here. I made a choice for them to be here. And so I really had to look at it in that way, that even though it was painful, we can learn from pain. And so I'm working on that narrative of a painful birth story and shifting it to what I learned in the process of all of that pain. Because I think there's some really deep stories about my body that I learned that I haven't even realized yet. And so now when I engage my children, I engage them in what is it that they have to offer me, and not always, oh God, what is it that I have to give? Oh God, what does I have to do? And it's calmed me down a lot as a mother, and it's made me enjoy parenting a lot more. I used to always say that Q Baby was the fun parent, and because he was a fun parent, I had to be, the non-fun parent. But now I'm really beginning to relax in my parenting a little bit more and allow it to give to me, because it did make me see my children as obstacles. And I believe that motherhood is not the graveyard of our dreams. I truly believe that. But I saw them as obstacles I had to get over so that my motherhood wouldn't be the graveyard of my dreams. As
opposed to contributors to the development of your dream.
Exactly. So thank you. No, that really, really helped me think about that.
No, that's really powerful, Crystal, because I think that for all the reasons you listed, and I think, like you said, remembering that we called them into existence. So part of us, the higher part of us, must have known that having these children would enrich whatever creative thing we were going to do. And so remembering that having them, even their unique personalities, is going to give us something that will ultimately come out in our creativity, an angle, a perspective, a way of looking at something that would not have been there had they not existed. And that's hard to do every day, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
I feel like you have put words to something that I'm still struggling with. I feel like I'm probably in the infancy stages of what it is you've come and kind of matured through. So I appreciate you describing this in this way. I don't know that I am willing to say I look at my children as obstacles, although it may be true.
You see, I love that. I love
denial
that.
on
I'm
that.
not going to speak it.
But I certainly do. I certainly do look at them as, I certainly look at them as, people I am tasked with shaping into responsible citizens and, good adults. And not necessarily people who are here to contribute to who I am and help me be better. And help to somehow contribute to my destiny.
Yes, that's the word.
Creative, the works I'm supposed to put out into the world.
I didn't think motherhood would have the impact on my creativity as it has. Because the reality of it is, the poem that I wrote for TEDx, I would not have been able to write that poem.
No.
If I were not a mother.
As someone who's watched you, your performance and your writing completely shifted.
Oh, definitely.
The first time I saw you perform, you came out here for something. I can't remember. We're always finding reasons to bring you out here. So it was one of them times. And you performed, and I was like, oh, that's that new. To me, I know this is going to sound crazy. This is going to sound crazy, but motherhood is one of the best things that can happen to an artist. Look at what Beyonce created after Blue Ivy.
I don't think that's crazy.
Look at what she created after Blue Ivy was born, right? People see a distinct difference between, we saw a gradual progression, but it leapt after Blue Ivy was born, because everything you do now has to have an intention that ties into the development of these beings. And subconsciously and consciously, you're thinking about that.
Yeah. And I think that I was resisting allowing motherhood to transform me. I think that that's what I'm doing now, is allowing it to transform me. It's like, you know what?
You know what that is? That's the big TV. That's little TV on the big TV. That's little TV on the big TV. Y'all, quick thing. Crystal came to my house one time, and my house used to be the sanctuary. It was beautiful in Lemert Park, big windows, hardwood floors. Everybody came. I mean, everybody was like,
it had the perfect wind flow. Like, she didn't have an air conditioner, but it had the perfect wind flow.
If you could get divorced and live like this, a lot of people would be divorced, right? So it was a beautiful healing space. And when Mark and I started dating, and they would frequent, but they weren't there. And then we decided for them to be there. I had some adjustment issues. Yeah. I was trying to hold on to the space that it was. And so one of the things that looked like was we had a really big TV. Like, it's old school. It was the standalone TV. And we had put a little TV on top because the big TV had blown out. And instead of just getting rid of the big TV, the little TV was literally sitting on top. So Crystal was like, I got to talk to you about something. I think you're resisting accepting that your life has changed, which means the space has changed. And, you know, whether you know, like it or not, they're like, you've chosen for them to be in your life, and it means this is going to change. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I was totally in denial. And then she said, you got a little TV on top of the big TV. You got a little TV on top of the big TV. That's and I was like, it took my dear friend to fly in from South Carolina. Mind you, people have been coming through my house with that little TV on that big TV for at least a year. And nobody said nothing to me. But it took Crystal to say,
nobody saw the problem.
Why is that little TV on top of that big TV? And girl, I didn't have an answer. And it was because the big TV was definitely symbolic for me holding on to a life that was no longer there. So that's what that is, Crystal. That's the little TV on top of the big TV.
I'm telling you, I was firmly planted in the reality that Kerry Washington was living my life. Like, I was firmly planted.
No, you said that. You said that within the last 2 months.
I was like,
you did.
Every time I saw her in an interview, I was like, oh my God, I would totally have answered the question that way. Oh God, that's totally me. And I'm going to stop saying that. Kerry Washington is living her life. Yeah. You know?
Her life.
And I am living my life. Yeah. And I need to embrace that life, allow that life to transform me into whatever it is I'm supposed to be. And I'm not going to say, like, I don't want people to feel like motherhood is what you have to do in order to transform as an artist. But what we are saying is that if you are a mother and if you are a creator,
allow it to transform you.
Allow it.
Yeah, it's a part of your journey. So this is tough for me. So
it's tough. No, Nekisha, it's tough.
Because if I'm being truly honest, I probably have seen them as a disruption to where I was headed, right? So I got these big dreams, and I see myself going in this one place. And unlike you, Chris, I ain't never seen myself being.
Oh, I know. I knew you in college. I know. I know. Nekisha was going to be the VP of some Fortune 500 corporation.
I'm in my mind somebody's partner in life, somebody's wife probably, but not anybody's mother. It just wasn't, because I don't do kids. Yes, I'm the homeschooler.
Yes, she's the homeschooler lactation consulting one.
To now look at it as I want all these things and intend all these things for myself, and then also to look at my children as these huge responsibilities that I have to guide into being good adults, right? To use that language doesn't do the gifts that they are justice. And the fact that they are a deliberate part of this journey and achieving my best self and being able to put better stuff into the world through the experience of mothering them. I appreciate having Lord, I'm gonna have to have a moment with myself on this one. But thank you for it.
Ryan,
it's not
thank
easy.
You for thank you, Ryan, for changing our lives. Thank you. So I'll read listener letter number 2.
Or am I not gonna read all the letters? I thought I had practiced reading all the letters. Am I not reading all the letters?
Okay. That's unfortunate. Did you want to read all the letters?
Yeah, I was planning to read all of them. And should I not? I mean, if someone else wants to read.
No, sure. Go ahead.
I think you.
In this case, you should definitely be the jury foreman.
I didn't say a word. I said.
Greetings, dim black mamas. Greetings. This is listener letter number 2. Greetings, dim black mamas. I am currently a college student studying child advocacy and business. I will graduate in December of this year. My journey has not been an easy one, but I am proud to say I am making my mama proud. I will be the first one in my family to graduate with a BA. I was the first to graduate with 2 associate degrees as well. I plan on attending graduate school after graduation for youth development. I have been working a part-time and full-time job since I have been in college. My full-time job was my first job, and I was able to move up in management. I have been a loyal employee to the company for 6 years, which includes being a floor staff, part-time manager, and now a full-time manager. The money is good, and I can maintain a decent living. Nothing above my means, but a decent living. I have been working at my part-time job for 4 years. You need a BA to move up there, which was why I even decided to go back to school. I also wanted to keep my options open. I have managerial experience as well as experience working with youth from middle school to elementary. I am very passionate about building up youth and being a mentor, but I struggled financially in efforts of putting my heart over my pockets. I am really good at the full-time job, and my manager is helping me learn more to be able to move up when the opportunity presents itself. The money is great, but I do not feel it is rewarding and making a difference. I moved out of my parents' home 3 years ago, and I do not plan on returning unless there are unforeseen circumstances that arise. Love them to death, though, really. I tell you all of this to ask if I should take a leap of faith after graduation and jump straight into the child advocacy world, or stay where I am until I finish graduate school and move higher up in the business world. Signed, an individual trying to lead by example.
So I'll jump in here. I appreciate your letter, an individual trying to lead by example. One of the things I know for sure I will prepare my children with as they go to college, if that's where they choose to go, is to stress that college is the time where they can learn what they love to do and where their passions lie, and to pursue those things. And not to go into college looking for, or with some set career path already in mind that they don't love and can't be truly passionate about giving back to the world through. So I felt like that was a mistake in my past that I'd like to correct with my children, is to allow them to just live through the college experience and come into knowing what they truly want to do and enjoy. I feel like you've done that already, listener. I feel like you know that advocacy is where your passion is and what you want to do with your life, and doing anything else is settling, I think. And I say this from someone who got a business degree and worked in corporate for a little bit and hated every day of it, and spent my days pushing back and fighting and trying to prove that my creative side was just as legitimate as my business side. Because I wanted to be, seen as a creative in a space, I want to be a square peg in a round hole. And it never, ever, ever worked for me. And it took me over a decade to find where I truly should have been from the beginning. And so if you can stop that path and say, hey, this is what I love, this is what I'm passionate about, and follow your passion, I think you will be far more successful in life by whatever measure success is measured by, than if you stick on, hey, I'm going to just follow the dollars right now. And want to be a traditional success. That's my thoughts.
Foreman.
My advice is really quick: do what you love and find a way to make money at it. Especially if your only responsibility is you right now. Do what you love. Find a way to make money at it. Find a way to build a career based on what you love. Money is necessary, but you in your 20s, you ain't got no kids. Do what you love, man. Do what you love. Do what you love. I know I did.
I mean, I commend you for getting the degree. I commend you for sticking through and finishing that. And I think it's going to be excellent to have in your back pocket if you ever need to fall back on something. You got that where you can get a check if you need to. But right now is a great time to just as Chris
and I also wouldn't knock living with your parents. Listen, I was that person who said, listen, 18, y'all got to go. But now I'm starting to rethink that. I think that if you want to live with your parents, if the space is big enough where you can negotiate your living arrangements and it still allows you to do what you like, I mean, you're in your 20s, so you do have to talk about dating and how that's going to all work out in your parents' home. But if money is the issue, then I wouldn't necessarily rule out going to live back with my parents to do what I love. Now, you can take my advice with a grain of salt. I was a person who graduated from college, lived in Atlanta for a year, taught preschool, saved my money, moved to LA to pursue my dream. And I have no regrets about that. I learned so much, and I'm able to use that experience now that I'm back in my hometown to do what I love. So I say, do what you love, find a way to make money at it.
I agree.
And this is Thea Monyee, the LMFT advice. This is the advice that you should hone in on. Okay? Just want to put that out there.
So, you know, an individual trying to lead by example, like, I read your letter several times. My goal is always to try to look at what is underneath, right? Because there's like the surface of what we're talking about, and then there's what's underneath what we're talking about. And so the first thing I left with was your strengths. You have so many strengths that just jumped out from the page. So you're dependable, you're conscientious, you have to be organized, you have to be good at time management to move up the way you have. You're passionate, you're ambitious, and you're a visionary, right? So those are all strengths that just came from... Did you see how she broke that down, Nekisha?
Damn! We was like, hey man, do what you love. She was like, these are your strengths. That's why she makes the money, man. That's why she makes the money. Dang. Let me write that. I'm going to write a letter and see what you find in
it. So with all those strengths, the real issue I find that you may not even be aware of is that you are limiting yourself to two options. And so you've laid out two paths. And a person with the number of strengths I just named has an unlimited amount of paths. This would be my suggestion. I would lean away from the binary of business world versus passion in the world. Tom's is a business that makes a lot of money and gives back to the world. Lush is a company that makes a lot of money but gives back to the world. There are plenty of examples of socially responsible entrepreneurship in business that services the community. And so I will also say this, somebody with your skill set won't always be the person directly, you won't be the what we call the intervener. You may not be the person who's providing the direct service. Somebody with your vision may be the person at the top of the organization or the top of the company that is determining what path we go to help more people. And that can be hard for an intervener because we like to be in contact with people. And I think there's a part of you that will always need that piece to stay attuned and in contact with what you're doing. But you're a big picture person. You're moving up in different spaces because that's where you belong. I would add creativity to this decision-making process. I would look for examples of people who are doing both, because why should you have to choose? See, this is something I learned from white people. They don't feel they have to choose. They don't feel they have to choose. They don't look for job descriptions, they write them. And then they look for jobs that match that description. You have to behave and believe that it is all open and available to you, even if systemically there may be hurdles or barriers. If in your mind you are already thinking that there's no barriers, you will begin to operate like there are no barriers. And I mean, I can see a million business ideas that you have the drive, the dependability, the management, the organization skills, the passion, the ambition, and the vision to bring to life. The other thing that stuck to me is, you have this manager who's like helping you move up. See, you're still learning from people, and that's good, but I think that you're not meant to work under people long, not based on this skill set I'm seeing. Right. So you're also setting yourself to always have to work under somebody. And I just don't see that where you end up being. Not someone who you wrote this almost like it was a resume and it was great. So you are playing yourself small. And I don't think you should do that.
I love this.
I don't think you should do that. I think you should decide what you want, write that job description, and if that job is not out there, I think you should create it. And I think the money will come. I want to say this too, as somebody who went the opposite route. I went nonprofit, and that is a struggle financially, right? But part of me doing that was me not thinking I could create my own box. Now I'm kind of beginning to do that, and I'm seeing that, wow, I could, Jay-Z says, you get rich and you give back. That's the win-win. I can't help the poor if I'm one of them, so I get rich, I give back, and that's the win-win. And I'm not saying you have to be like rich, but I think rich in terms of being able to have access to the resources you need to do what you want to do in the world and create something that doesn't exist is super important. To me, that's the definition of wealth. And you have everything you need here to be wealthy. So I say lean back from the binary. Don't give yourself, these are two very limited options for a person with your potential. That I think is what I want you to consider.
I hear you. I don't want to speak for you, but I hear you, Thea, saying that a little bit of entitlement is fine. A little bit of the world is my oyster, and I have the right to be in this space and create the destiny that I want.
Yes.
A lot of that.
Yes. And we need to walk in that power.
Yeah, I love it.
We need to walk in that power. So I hope that helps.
We don't do that enough.
We hope that helps.
We don't do it enough.
And we'll give it back to Shirley Strawberry for the third letter.
Yeah, man. Thank you
for your
Now,
letter.
this third letter, y'all. This third letter, I feel is where we could go the most left. Everybody's looking at me crazy. But I would just let Shirley.
I'm going to answer it first again. And then I'm going to let Shirley give you the advice that might have you sleep on the street and broke up, because we already established that your advice has the potential to do that, Crystal. I don't know that. And then we can end with the licensed marriage and family therapist again. I think that was a wonderful direction.
Here we go.
Go ahead, Shirley. Letter 3.
Listener letter number 3. Situation. I love that's how this letter starts. Listener letter number 3, situation, : I love that. My fiance and I had a couple of arguments days after he proposed to me, Mother's Day weekend 2017. My fiance and I have been a couple since November 2016 and have been living together since December 2016. I am 6 months pregnant with our daughter, and the argument was started because I said I wanted to seek counseling to have more support as a mother. My fiance comes back with the rebuttal of, we can be one another's counselor, and why would I want people in our business? I called my mother crying one day on my way to work, telling her that I no longer wanted to marry my fiance because we did not seem to be getting along lately, and we have been arguing a lot more than normal lately. My mother asked me what I wanted to do, and I said leave him. My mother encouraged me that I was a strong Black woman who did not need a man and that I could raise this baby on my own. The thing is, I do not want to be a single parent. I just wanted my fiance and I to attend a few counseling sessions together to become stronger as a couple and to have a mediator to help us work through some things in our relationship. To me, it is much more than just raising this child on my own. It is about keeping my Black family together and our daughter growing up in a 2-parent home with both of her parents to support one another and our child or children.
I changed my mind. I don't want to do this.
Okay.
Nekisha.
All right.
Are you sure? I mean, I'm willing to go first. I'm willing to go first.
Yeah, let's say Shirley Strawberry go first.
So I'm not going to give any suggestions on whether you should leave or stay. But there are 3 things that stand out to me in this letter. This relationship has progressed very quickly. You started dating in November of last year, 2016. You moved in together December 2016, and now you're 6 months pregnant. So that's a very quick progression. So I want to say that your instinct to tell you that you need to breathe through counseling to figure some things out, I think is legitimate because of how quickly the relationship has moved. The other thing that I see in this letter is something that stuck out to me. You said, my mother told me that I was a strong Black woman and that I could raise this child on my own. And that we have this image of the strong Black woman and we can do it all, but strong means that we can bear all things, that we can take on other people's burden, and we can survive and make it through. I think your goal should be to be a powerful Black woman. A powerful Black woman is in charge of her own destiny and decides what she wants to take on and what she wants to say no to. Not whether or not she can get through something, but that she is in control of her choices. And so the idea is not that to be strong, because you can raise the baby on your own. You know, you can do that. We've done that for years. But the goal is to be powerful in that you have control of your destiny, not that you have the ability to just get through something, but you have control over whether or not you want to go through something and control over how you would get through it. And the last thing is this idea of being a single mother. I think that we have to change the way that we view family. I used to say I was raised by a single mother and my father was absent from my life. Now I say I was raised by a village of people and my mother and father chose to separate so that they could both survive. And so I really think we have to change the way that we view family in this Western two-parent home paradigm, because you can still be a family and not live with the father of your child, because families give support, families give love. Your child can still get all the things that they need. So we have to change the way that we view family and family structure. And we have to ask, how can my child get what they need? That's the question. Not does my family look like this? Because two parents can be living in the home and it still not be a healthy environment for the child. So the goal is to make sure that your child is getting what they need.
Go Shirley. Look at Nekisha's still looking up.
So I am. So here's the thing. When I first read the letter, I mistook the timeline a little bit, and I thought they'd been together much longer. Given that, was going to say that there's probably some room to talk with him and get to know, to help him to come around to counseling. And I was going to talk to her about ways to get him to open up to counseling. I would like to now back up a bit, knowing that they have been together for such a short while. Granted, it is possible to have a very quick courtship and know that this is the person and be with them for the rest of your days. And it is the right relationship for you. I believe that is a thing. That ain't the thing usually. I would say that taking the time to get to know each other better might be the best course of action here. We have a very pervasive perception within the Black community that counseling is, equal to just letting other folks in our business and telling our business. And a lot of us believe that so deeply that we will refuse to get the help that we need and refuse to allow someone else to help right a ship that is sinking, and we'll let the ship go down instead. Yes, and I've seen that. And the consequences of
Amen,
that
somebody.
Yes,
can I get a witness? Hallelujah, anyhow.
And then they come crawling to me. And I'm like,
and then
or they want to join the movement because they don't want to deal with what's going on inside.
Well, now, that's a whole other show topic.
But go ahead.
So we won't go there, but I want you to be careful, sis. I would advise you to be careful, and be very deliberate in the steps that you take for you and your baby's life. If this person is not open or willing or won't become willing to get the help that's needed to make sure that you all are on the same page, and this type of counseling was needed throughout the course of a marriage. Yes. So it's not just a one and done. It's not just a quick, let's go talk to somebody right now. No, this is something that should be ongoing. You should have a relationship with the therapist and maybe change therapists throughout the course of your marriage as it goes. But you want to make sure that you always have someone who can give you a really impartial voice and help you all see where you have room to grow. And an unwillingness to accept that type of input should be a major red flag. I agree with Crystal that we have challenges with the way that we see families, and we worry a lot about what they gonna say when they see that we're a single mom and what they think. We gotta take a second and be more concerned about, are we whole, and are the children that we're raising and bringing into the world.
And that's not to say that being a single parent, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Nekisha. That's not saying that being a single parent is easy, but my mother was a single parent for most of her life. But that's to say that we have to shift in terms of what family support looks like. Because I also know people who were raised in 2-parent homes, and one parent didn't have a lot of input in the home. It was like one parent did all the work. That other parent was just present in terms of being in the home, but they didn't have any presence. So a parent can be present in the home, but not present, not actively participating in and a part of the home as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think being any type of parent is easy, single or
Facts.
otherwise.
Facts.
And so we all need a village and some help to get through this thing. And so I hear you. I hear Mama's advice. I love that she's got your back and she's encouraging you that you can do the damn thing on your own if you need to. I agree with Crystal's perspective on that. And I just want to, my advice is to be careful, be cautious, be deliberate, and be clear. Be clear on what you will and won't accept.
And now for the LMFT, also known as the Code Cracker. This is the advice that you should be focused on.
Yeah.
No, that was all good advice. So before I really jump into it, the one thing I want to stress is that you're pregnant with a daughter, and a friend and I had a conversation about this, about matrilineal lineage, that what it means to that matrilineal line that of women, of matriarchs. So when you are creating a daughter, you are creating your grandchildren and your grandchildren's grandchildren. And so you should not be in this position while you are creating your legacy. And so, for that, I just want to say that whatever you feel you need to do to incubate yourself and that child during this time, do it. I think that's important. Again, I'm not the expert. You live this life every day. What Crystal and Nekisha said about the timeline is very accurate. It's also, if you were a couple coming into or if you were on your own coming into my session, I would say, here is where we are, right? So what can we do from this moment forward? So the notion that we can be one another's counselor is false. And I don't have a gray area for that in a lot of ways. We can, as couples, be each other's friends.
Support.
We can be each other's support. But counselor, the reason the counselor is an external third party is because you need someone who has no hat in the ring. You need someone who will not be hurt or negatively impacted by your truth and by what you need to say. And that's what a lot of times, the counselor is, a sounding board, a place to not have to have any relationship, any obligation to this person other than paying them, right? For anything. And we need that third party. We need a place where we don't have a connection or a responsibility to that person. So, and that's not something that we can provide to each other as spouses or significant others. We can be supports, like Crystal said, but that's different. So when couples come in, I look at 3 things. The first one is communication. The second one is compatibility. And the third one is desire. Communication is the easiest fix. It's a skill building thing. We can role play and we can go through a couple of different scenarios, and that's an easy fix. The difficult one goes into compatibility. This is where you all might be running into some difficulty because you don't know each other as well as you may think you do. And it sounds like the first major hurdle you all are coming across, and you're coming across it while pregnant, right? Like that's really hard. Compatibility is likely where we're having the issue, but then there's something that concerns me about your partner not wanting to go to counseling, and that is the third issue, which is desire. So I can't say this is what's going on from the snapshot in here, but it's something that you both need to consider. It's interesting that you began to argue days after he proposed, which was Mother's Day. That's loaded with implications, right? And so there's a huge chance that neither of you want to be in this relationship. There's a huge, like, just the idea that you want to leave, just the idea that he doesn't want to go to counseling. The definites that are here are about not being together or about not making things work, right? I don't want to go to counseling. We shouldn't have to go to counseling. I want to leave, and I want to see what that looks like. So the definites here speak to desire. And the fundamental question that every couple has to ask is, do I want to be here? Now, why is this important? We use a lot of language in relationships that is very overly committal and ideal. We'll be together forever. You know, we can get through anything. I'll always be there for you. It's very idealistic. It's very flowery. It's very overcommittal. The reality of a relationship, when you see a 20-year relationship, is that they made a choice every day to stick around and make it work. Some days they didn't want to do that, but they committed to it anyway just to see what tomorrow will look like. Some days they saw something there worth holding on to. It was a day-by-day thing. The commitment is daily. Every day that we're here together is a choice, an active choice we're making. So we can't promise forever. We can't promise to always be there. We can't promise that, like, I'll always be there for you in any situation, no matter what. That's not realistic. We can't even say what that looks like, right? Because being there for you could be telling you no, could be setting a boundary. You may not think that means I'm being there for you, right? So desire is at the root of this, I think. And I mean, that's the fundamental question you have to ask yourself if you want to really truly be with this person, and if you'd want to be with them if you weren't pregnant. If you all were still just dating or just living together and you could get out of this real kind of clean and smooth with no difficulty, would you do it? Same for the partner. Because of the pace that it's moved, there may not have been a moment to say, do I really want to do this? It sounds like everybody's trying to do what they consider to be the appropriate thing without questioning whether or not that's what you want. And if it is a want and desire issue, there is no amount of compatibility or communication skills I can give you to change that. It will be the pee under the mattress. It will be the bedrock of your family. It will be the bedrock of your family. It will be this obligation versus this choice to choose each other. And so I think you need to sit down and have a really serious conversation about, if we were not pregnant, would we be together? Would you still want to be here? Would you think I'd make a good partner? If the answer is no, and this is going to sound silly, but enjoy the honesty. It's so much better to know that now than 3, 4, 5 years from now, right? And with that honesty, you can create something that can still be a beautiful experience for you, your partner, and your kid. But only if you're willing to ask the desired questions of, do we really want to be here? Do we really want to do this? Because getting married adds another layer of obligation and societal thought onto what you're already feeling about the child. And you don't need to compound that. So depending on what the arguments are about, if you're willing to grow and change. Now, let's say you have the desired conversation and it's like, we would want to be together, right? And that's great. So now we move back up to compatibility. So now this is where the third party comes in to help us negotiate those terms. What does that look like? What do you need from me? What can I do, and what don't you want me to do? This is where we come back to see, like, do we have shared values? And these are discussions we definitely need to have before this baby gets here. So that's a great place, but that is a place where I would say you still need intervention, where you would still need a third party.
Can I add something about the intervention in third party?
Sure.
So could a third party be a book?
A third,
like, I mean, could that be a way to sort of ease into the counseling? Like, say, okay, you're not ready for counseling, but what if we read this book together or listen to this book on tape together that could address some of our issues?
I always use bibliotherapy. I think it's a very effective form of intervention. I always have book suggestions for clients. The tricky thing about a book is there's a lack of accountability. We can't hold each partner to equally accountable for the interventions in that. And what usually happens is one partner, typically the woman, if it's a heterosexual relationship, ends up being like the one who's driving that process, and that becomes another thing that they fight about. But it could
like
work.
You didn't read the book. I read the book. We were supposed to read the book.
Right. You're not applying what's in the book.
Yeah.
The book said. The book said.
Right.
And it kind of becomes a thing. Usually, I think give them the power to pick the therapist. Give them some power in that space. Like, okay, you can pick the counselor, but we do need someone. We do need to talk to someone. At the end of the day, if none of these things work out for you, I want you to know exactly what Crystal said, that for Black families, traditionally, pre-colonization, everyone was mama and baba in the village. Everyone was iya and baba. Everyone was mom and dad. It wasn't just on the shoulders of these two people, because it was all of our responsibility to bring about the gifts of that individual. And so that child's probably spent even more time with grandparents in that setting, but that's another parent. So it wasn't a thing. There wasn't like a lot of ownership because it was a shared responsibility. So a lot of what you're feeling is the result of us being colonized into thinking that the onus of parenting and rearing and guiding a child falls squarely on these two people, and it really doesn't.
And married or single, that's true. Even if in the long
married
run
or single,
you all get married, you have to build a village. You have to build a village because your marriage will need time to be alone, away from that child, in order to be nurtured.
Yes.
You have to build a village, single or married.
Yeah, and you see that at graduations where there's like 25 people rolling up to celebrate because they've invested in some capacity in this child, right? So those are places we still see village. Your primary responsibility is not what the Black family looks like. It's what it feels like. It's how it operates. It's how it navigates spaces. And so if you can create a Black family that may not fit traditional norms, but does teach your children
traditional
intimacy,
Western norms.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But does teach your family and your children how to navigate relationships with respect for themselves and for others, shows them intimacy. That is your responsibility, not that it looks like this, Western normative way. But I go back to, I just want to tie in, the desire piece is not a counseling issue. It's within you to decide if this is what you want, and your partner too. And deciding that honestly now will save you so much, and your child so much. And it could preserve what's good about this situation.
And you say it in your letter, what you want. I am 6 months pregnant with our daughter, and the argument was started because I said I wanted to seek counseling to have more support as a mother. So you're saying in your letter what you need, what your desires are, and what you want. So however this turns out, build a village, because you already know that you're going to need support as a mother.
Thea, do you remember the name of that concept you mentioned at the very beginning about her having girls?
Oh, it's
I forget what it was called.
Mitochondrial Eve.
Yeah.
Mitochondrial Eve. So
where we're going with that is, as females of the species, we are born with all the eggs we'll ever have already in our bodies. And so if you are carrying a girl child, then you are carrying within you her and all the eggs she will ever have. And so in effect, all the way down to your grandchildren are in your body at one time.
That's pretty dope. That's dope. Yeah.
It is. It is. And so you want to be careful what all you're dealing with and carrying along with those babies, because it will affect generations to come.
Ooh, that makes me want to get pregnant with a girl. But there are just no guarantees with that. In terms of being pregnant. Yeah, I could end up with a boy. But that really,
it's deep.
Right?
That's really deep.
Yeah.
Right.
And the evidence of, so if you look at Mitochondrial Eve, basically
we'll have some links about this in our show notes, so you can go read about it.
Basically, the concept is that every woman traces back to this one mitochondrial Eve, and she dates back
Black woman in Africa.
Before she is a Black woman in East Africa, is the last place they found, and Y chromosomal Adam ends after her, so she was before him. One of the things they're exploring is, does that mean that for a period of time there was self-procreation? Because they don't see evidence of Y chromosomal Adam dating back as far as they do mitochondrial.
Girl, let me tell you something right
here.
Don't
you let us find that out.
Don't you let us find out. Don't you let us find out.
I think they know, but they are not releasing.
Let me tell you.
They're not gonna want us to know that. They're not gonna want us to know.
That's deep. They're not ready.
Because Crystal said, "You let us know.
You let us
find that out." Because she said, "Y'all are gone." She said, "Y'all ain't good for nothing after that."
Because we taking a whole second look. Like, yeah, I'm attracted to you, but guess what, homie?
If you don't want to act right, I know how to do this on my own. I know how to do this. That'll give credence to what the writer's mother said. Like that whole sentence of I can raise them on my own, I can make them on my own, baby. That'll be a black mama say.
Too much.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much to our listeners that wrote in. I certainly appreciate it because I love exercising my Shirley Strawberry voice. Yes. And I even think that I found...
Send us more.
Yes, send us more. I think I found my own voice and we can call it Crystal Peaches because South Carolina... Well, first of all, if I was an exotic dancer, I'd totally be Peaches. But secondly, South Carolina produces more peaches than any state. I know that Georgia's a peach state, but we actually produce more peaches. It's the Crystal Peaches voice. I like that. You know, haters are gonna hate, so you just gotta shine anyway. So let's transition now into.
I am hating.
Sometimes you say things, Crystal, and I see flashes of hot pink zebra print. I'm just like. Are we sure we want to do the hot pink zebra print? Are we sure we do the hot pink zebra? Okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
I wanted to add, I did get feedback regarding our education episode that I didn't go deep enough or wide enough into homeschooling. And I know there's a lot of curiosity out there among Black families about it. And so I will be, I'll be putting out something specifically on that, either a blog post or I'll record an essay or something on that topic, talking about my journey and what you might do if you're interested in exploring homeschooling further. I'll take some time to really go into that for anyone who's curious.
In fact, that was they was like, oh, them other two chicks in public school. Can we talk to the homeschool?
For real, that's exactly
what we want to know about. Ain't nobody trying to.
There's like we know that.
Yeah, we know that. Can we talk to this new thing going on? Yes, and maybe we should even do just one show on that.
Yeah.
So look out for that for Nekisha. That's coming soon as she gets settled in to her new home. Now we're going to transition into our collection plate causes. And our collection plate causes are causes that we feel you should give your time, attention, and yes, even some of your dollars to raise consciousness about these things. And so Nekisha is up first.
My collection plate cause is Polaris Project, which is leading in the global fight to eradicate human trafficking. And it is Polaris, Polaris, named after the North Star project. And we will have more info about that on our show notes.
Thea, you're up next with your collection plate cause.
Mine is Peace Over Violence. It's an organization based here in LA, but they do work with organizations around the nation, including Polaris Project. They fight against sexual assault, sexual violence, domestic violence. They are amazing. We're doing an 8-day training with them. They are thorough and comprehensive and amazing. So I will have more information on them as well.
Okay. And my collection plate cause is Purpose-Driven Passports. Purpose-Driven Passport was founded by Tracy Coleman, also known as Brooklyn Travel Addict and co-founder of Curly Girl Collective. It is a community of travelers dedicated to improving the lives of local citizens in the countries that they visit. Each year, they identify 3 to 5 projects to support. And the great thing about Purpose-Driven Passports is it is not religious or faith-based. It is community-based. So they focus on projects that the community is already working on or that the community is already in need of. So we'll have more information about that in our show notes. And we also plan to do social media posts on each one of these collection plate causes. So please give some time, attention, and awareness to these causes by passing the collection plate. And if you can't put money in the collection plate, then pass the collection plate by sharing it on social media. So thank you all. This is our 7th episode.
We're dancing. And you can't see it, but we're dancing.
Out in time for Nekisha to get her. Somebody's coming to hook something up in Nekisha's house, so we got out in time to do that.
Yeah, girl.
So thank you all. As I always say, you know, you don't have to support us, you don't have to listen to us, but we are so glad that you do continue to please follow us on our social media. Thea is always late with the cue.
Oh,
she is always
sorry.
late with this cue, and you're always in.
Hit us up on Twitter at Dem Black Mamas.
No, follow us on Facebook. You're supposed to talk about Facebook.
Well, I had Twitter in the beginning.
And
we should just
Instagram
be
at Dem Black Mamas. Just hit us up with your thoughts about the show, our topics, ask us some questions, show us some love.
Just all our social media is Dem Black Mamas. Just Instagram, Twitter.
That's
it's all Dem Black Mamas. Maybe that's just what we should say from now on.
Just
but
Dem
you
Black
know
Mamas.
what, Nekisha, thank you for trying to pull it together. We appreciate your list.
I'm not the foreman. Clearly, I'm not cut out to be the foreman.
Thank
out
you.
Here, find us, Dem Black Mamas.
Thank you. Namaste.
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 We out. That's all we got.
Namaste.
We ain't got no more.